Welcome back, stranger, to another mini Strangoween episode with me, Madam Strangeways. I'm celebrating all Strangetober long with bonus mini episodes. These macabre minisodes will be story narrations only, but every other Wednesday I'll still release a main episode with my usual commentary after the story, including dragging you kicking and screaming down endless rabbit holes, obviously. Before we get to our true strange story, just a quick reminder, if you're ingesting a whole lot more scary content lately and you find yourself scared and wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, say, just as an example, remember that you can feel afraid and not be in danger. You're safe here, probably. And a special spectral shout out to my Patreon patrons who help make the podcast possible. TJ Hodder of Tapes of Trepidation podcast, Gmanmusic, Ted, Keith, and Tori. Thank you to my Fiendish Five for supporting the show. Now, it sounds like it's about to rain hellcats and hellhounds out there, so you know what that means. On to the true Strangoween stories, here on Madam Strangeways. I Work at a Haunted Nursing Home by Sam. I just recently got a job doing night shift at a retirement center close to my house. One of the first things someone told me was that new hall was haunted. For clarification, about 2 years ago, there was this guy living at the nursing home that liked to help around the place a lot. And one day he asked a worker if he could borrow the water hose the day that they were spraying off the patios. And the worker agreed, since the guy usually sprayed off the patio near his room. Well, an hour went by, and the workers had gone about their duties, not even thinking about the request. Until an hour later, the boss noted that the man hadn't returned the hose yet, so they went to find him. They found him, hanging from a tree in the backyard. But since his death, they swear up and down he haunts the hall. Every worker and resident swears they've seen him, even the ones who don't believe in the paranormal. But a few days ago, on my first night working there, I was cleaning the windows around midnight on the hall the man used to live on, when I looked up and saw the reflection of a man standing behind me, watching me. I turned around, and no one was there. Everyone else was asleep, residents, or not near the hall, co-worker. Fast forward to a few hours ago. Me and a co-worker were taking our break around 3 a.m., the both of us talking in the parking lot, when she looked away from the road for half a second, turned back to the road, and completely froze, and gestured for me to come look. Standing in the middle of the road was a tall black figure, taller than even me, and I'm 6'2". I'd wager it was about a head taller than me. It was just standing in the middle of the road. We couldn't tell if it was staring at us or if it was staring down the road. We both stared at the figure for a good minute or two when it started walking down the road. I followed it, thinking it might be one of the residents trying to leave in the middle of the night, but when I got to the road, it was gone. It wasn't walking down the road, it wasn't walking down the other road connected to it, and it didn't go into a house as I would have heard the door open and shut. And it wasn't fast or close enough to reach the end of the road in the 3 seconds it took me to go through the parking lot to the road. What freaked us both out was when talking about it, we realized 2 things. 1, it didn't stand like you'd expect a human to stand. It was all stiff and everything, and it just seemed to be wrong in a way I couldn't figure out. 2, we both realized later we didn't see any arms on it. We didn't see any arms when it was standing still, and we didn't see arms when it walked off. I think I just had a close encounter with the big guy by Brimble660. So, as the title says, literally as of 10 minutes before making this post, I'm almost positive I had an encounter with a Bigfoot. I live in Missouri, Henry County to be exact, and I live out in the sticks. I have 3 dogs that I take outside so they can do their business before they go to bed. Charlie, my Chihuahua, Roxy, my red heeler, blue heeler, and border collie mix, and Gizmo, my Shih Tzu. I have them on collars that have a beeper and vibrate buttons so they don't run off. Well, as I'm taking them out and making sure they do their thing, I notice movement out of the corner of my eye. I have a headlamp on and I move my head to where I caught the movement. I didn't think much of it because it's normally a deer, raccoon, or something of the like. What I saw, though, was nothing I'd ever seen before. I couldn't get a good judgment on how tall it was, but its eyes were level with where the branches started to branch out of the trunk of the tree, which is pretty high up. If I had to guess, I'd say like 7 or 8 feet in the air. This is also near where we have burn barrels for trash, which is why my dogs were over there. I could only see the eyes at first as they gave off a reflection of the light that shined at it, a deep red. I kept looking back at them to make sure they didn't move. After a few seconds of looking away and back at the eyes, it began to try and circle around the area. From the tree I first saw the eyes, it moved 15 steps to another bundle of trees. I know how many steps not only because I've walked that, but because I could hear each step it took. Then it moved behind the burn barrels, and then it began to walk behind the shed we had that's next to it. As it was beginning the circle is when I got a good look at this thing. It had a dark, muddy brown coat of matted hair. The hair almost looked like it had spots of red in it. Not like ginger red, but like blood red. Its hands and torso were the largest I've ever seen on something bipedal. It looked like it had shiny black claws or fingers. Then, as it started getting closer, I could hear it grunting, almost like a mix of a pissed-off bull and a deep, guttural human grunt. As soon as I heard that, I hit the vibrate button on my dogs. They knew that meant to come home and follow me into the house. I got them in the house, grabbed my 20 gauge, loaded it, and stepped outside again to, at the very least, scare whatever I saw off. I looked around, shouting at whatever it was to leave, and as I got closer to the burn barrels, I could hear the grunting and the thudding of its footsteps retreating. This all happened right before I was going to bed, and literally 10 minutes before I started typing this all out. I like to think of myself as a pretty cool-minded guy, but this experience literally has me shaking and cowering. I don't know what I saw, but I know for sure it wasn't a bear, because we don't have bears in any of the counties I live near. Thank you for joining me for more true, strange stories of the unexplained. Remember that you can feel afraid and not be in danger. You're safe here with me. Probably. Please follow the podcast, leave a rating on Spotify or Apple, or tell your friends and foes about the show. It would mean the world to me. The underworld, obviously. I mean, come on, was that not clear? Madam Strangeways is produced and narrated by me, Madam Strangeways. Theme music is by Marina Ryan at marinamakes.co. Cover art is by Andrea Giselle Roldan at Cult of Teddy on Instagram. You can submit your own true strange story at madamestrangeways.com or email it to madamestrangeways@gmail.com. See you soon, she said ominously.